What you are about to hear is highly classified. Pay attention and listen at all times. And most importantly, remember, if you build it, they may or may not come. You put a talking raccoon with a giant gun in it, they're going to run in droves. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering Zone 4. And welcome back to The Zone. I'm Brant Fowler.
I'm John Wilson.
I'm Chuck Moore.
And I'm Mike Luoma.
And this is episode 282 of Zone 4. And every Friday night for, 5.5 years now? Something like that?
Good Lord.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But we're glad to be back with you guys. Glad to have Chuck back after a very long hiatus.
Yeah, no kidding. I've been busy.
Yeah.
I don't know what I've been doing, but I've been busy.
You're about to get a lot busier.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to. Yeah, I was just talking to Jenny earlier. She's like, I do not want to think about the year we have in front of us.
Right.
So.
We'll get to all that towards the end of the show, though, exactly. I'm sure. And Mike, good to have you back as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking forward to chit-chatting about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, perfect show to get you back on, of course. But before we get too deep into things, we should mention we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us on comicspodcasts.com. I always have trouble with that name. Each and every Friday, as well as various other shows that are on the comic-related podcast network.
You know what it is.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry. I mean, I interrupted your promo. Go ahead, finish your promo.
No, go ahead.
No, it's all those years you've been trying not to say comics related. You know,
No,
everybody else says comics related. It's like now you have an actual something that's plural, like Comic Podcasts Network, Comics Podcast. See, I can't even do it.
I know it's it's a double plural. That's what messes me up. It's Comics Podcasts. So yeah, it's a.
Yes,
I always thought we needed a new plural for that, like Podcast-I or Podcastopia or something like that.
Something like that.
Ocasta.
But yeah, you can find us over there as well as Hall of Toys and like I said, various other podcasts that we are familiar with, like Why I Love Comics or Real Books Don't Have Batman, and various other shows if you're looking for anything else outside of CR. So check us out. All right.
Yay.
Yeah. So we sadly have to start this show with a little bit of sad news, and everybody knows about this by now. Everybody's been talking about it. Robin Williams passed away earlier this week, and I can't speak for all you guys. I know some of us. I don't know about you, Mike, but I've always been a Robin Williams fan. Grew up watching his stuff and everything, and it was kind of a really shocking news week for us, I guess.
It really hit me hard. I know that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it hit us all hard.
We were talking about this over on my other podcast, and one thing that kind of came up, and maybe go round robin real fast, because I found this very interesting. When you think of Robin Williams, what does that mean to you? What iconic image out of his career does it call up for you, for each of us?
It calls up several for me, actually.
I was about to say, it's not one.
Yeah.
Well, the first one. I mean, I know he had a huge career, but the point I'm making, and I think maybe
I see him on a stand-up stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, obviously, Mork and Mindy stands out.
Okay.
That's my first memory of him. So. John?
Yeah, honestly, that's it for me. And actually, it's one specific Mork memory.
Okay.
I don't remember the episode. I actually went looking for it and couldn't find it. I think he's wearing this pair of shoes that was taking him and Mindy through time.
Okay.
And it's this
I remember that episode.
Do you? And at the end of one of the episodes, he's like falling through this, I guess, this hole in space or whatever. But he's doing it alone, and he's screaming Mindy.
Yeah.
It's like, Mindy, you know.
Look that up because it's a multi-part episode. It's
Yeah,
one of the
yeah, and
few
I can't-
early multi-part episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the name of it, so I can't quite find it. But yeah, that's the image that always stuck in my head because it was just so,
Yeah.
it was kind of so sad and so mournful. It's like he's screaming for Mindy and can't get to her and all this other stuff. And, as funny as that show was and all the stuff that went on, that's the thing that sticks in my head about Mork and Mindy is that image. So.
Yeah.
And I think like Mike, I'm stand-up, but like Jenny was Aladdin. You know, it's like there's so much to his career, and the thing is, it's so interesting how he's crossed so many generations of people in his life, and from Mrs. Doubtfire to oh Captain, my Captain, to all these different things. He's different things to different people in this whole career, and each one means something massive to so many different people. It's amazing to see the outpouring this week.
Yeah, I had a post on Facebook that just got liked and shared where I said, we grew up with him. Mm-hmm. From being kids and watching Mork to being teenagers and oh Captain, my Captain, to even as he got into the darker stuff when we were in our 30s, when he did like Insomnia and things like that. It's like he kind of grew up with us, and in a weird sort of way, he was always kind of like that weird, crazy uncle that was always there and just a part of our lives in a weird way. And I don't know why there was such a connection, but he had that. And
he did. I grew up obsessed with stand-up comedy when I was little. I mean, younger, way too young to be watching improv and some of the stuff, and Andy Kaufman and everything that was out there at the time. But
me too.
I was so obsessed with stand-up, and I feel like I took a lot of my early personality and my basis for humor from things like At the Met with Robin Williams. I mean, that I watched that so many times, and I emulated that humor style in my own personality that I feel like there's a part of Robin Williams that I'll never shake, because that was so influential at the time to me.
He was such an incredible mind. I mean, no matter what substances he was going through at the time, but he could just improv so quickly and riff on so many things. It was just insane.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, I was going to say on everything but skates, as he used to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was the same way. I liberally stole from him throughout my teenage years. I would go to school the next day after seeing him, and I would, sing I'm on Fire as Elmer Fudd, like he did in one of his specials, and, I'd be like the hit of the day. So, I liberally stole from him, and a lot of my humor, a lot of the way that I think of stuff definitely comes from him. And, that thing about him being able to take anything and just do 10 minutes on it. Yeah. Any subject, any object. I put up a video on Facebook of him on Inside the Actors Theater, and sadly, you can't find the full episode anymore, but you can find chunks of it. And they've never showed the whole thing, which went 5 hours.
Wow.
And sent someone to the hospital with a hernia from laughter. But they have shown the 2-hour part, and at one point, he takes this pink scarf from a woman in the audience and literally does a international bit on it. From being a bullfighter who's upset that he can't find his cape, and the bull is saying, "What the fuck are you coming into the ring with a Donna Karan scarf for?" To an Indian woman saying, "Help me," to wrapping it around his waist and being the Iron Chef.
I remember this as you're describing it. It's coming back to me.
And, wrapping his wrists in it and saying he's under Amish house arrest. And this is all right off the top of his head in the middle of this. And there's video after video of him on shows where somebody will say one thing and he's gone. Yeah. For 5 or 10 minutes.
It cracked me up that the Disney animators complained that they couldn't keep up the animation with the pace of his voice in Aladdin.
Yeah.
They had to bring more in.
It's the first time they'd ever had that problem, that they had to almost go faster with the film because they couldn't make the lips match the speed of what he was saying in some of those sequences.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they credited him in Disney for redefining the whole genre, because he talked so fast and it influenced so many future Disney movies, because it allowed parents to come back when they had to watch this over and over and over with their kids. Because of Robin Williams and Aladdin, they would constantly find new little jokes because it was moving so fast. And they credit, like, from Finding Nemo on down the line, there's all these future films that had fast-talking, riffing characters that were very much like Robin Williams.
Yeah.
and he'd go a bit blue sometimes, and they would have to pull him back, Go, remember, the mouse doesn't have genitals, So.
A bit blue. I mean, in Aladdin, he was pretty damn big and blue, wasn't he?
One of his movies, they didn't allow the movie to have best script in the Academy Awards because he improvised so much. They no longer credited the writers with the majority of the film.
Yeah, I can't remember which one.
Yeah, it was one of them. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, he got Good Will Hunting made. Had it not been for him, Good Will Hunting wouldn't have happened.
No.
Because you got these two guys, relative unknowns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they had the backing of Kevin Smith, but that'll only take you so far. And then the fact that they got Robin Williams to play the psychiatrist was really the reason that got made. And rightfully he got an Oscar for it because and that's another image that pops up where he's berating Matt Damon's character on the bench about you don't know loss because that only comes when you care about something more than you care about yourself.
Right.
So yeah, there's just story after story like that he did this or did that for someone's career or someone, in general, a person. So yeah.
So Brant, you sent this Yahoo News link that's part of the show.
Yeah. I didn't know that, actually.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
That really came as a surprise to me, and I you want to tip it, Brant, for what we're talking about here?
Yeah. This actually came out today as we're recording this. Robin's wife came forward and said that he was actually in the early stages of Parkinson's, which I don't think anybody knew.
No,
they just announced that today.
Yeah, that was definitely news.
Yeah. So I mean, whether that plays into what eventually happened, obviously, is anybody's guess. But I would imagine it definitely, had an impact on him.
Yeah, I think depression and Parkinson's. I was slightly. I mean, it's hard to say uplifted on a topic like this, but to hear that he wasn't, off the wagon, he wasn't.
Right.
He wasn't suffering financial problems. All the things the media have been claiming was the reason he committed suicide.
Right.
I never want to see anyone give up in any way, but if there's a difference for me somehow in making a choice regarding a medical condition, and that I don't know why I'm not saying I back his play in any way, but it made it softer for me. Let's put it that way.
Right. I mean, I wish he had spoken to, someone like Michael J. Fox, who's
oh my gosh, yes,
lived with Parkinson's for many years now and is actually, I can't say thriving with it, but, he's definitely made made a continuing career out of it. But, honestly, especially with depression, a subject I know a little bit about, you can't really know what's in someone else's mind or their struggle, especially someone who is somewhat professionally good at hiding their true emotions. We didn't live in his head, so we don't know what was going on. We don't know, what voices were talking to him at the time. So,
yeah.
I'm personally, I've always considered suicide kind of a crappy way out, but, there are times when that looks like the only way out, so.
Yeah.
The thing about depression is there can be an element of not wanting to be a burden to others, and you feel like that's what you are as you're fighting this battle against this disease. And I think that, there's the possibility, adding to that the Parkinson's diagnosis, he might have felt like, oh my God, I'm just going to be a horrible burden.
Yeah,
and that could be overwhelming.
Yeah, someone, especially with his mind, a mind that, had to run at 3 or 4 times faster than the rest of us. That mind, and to know that he will eventually lose a great deal of his body to Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Adding to the depression and, whatever else was going on. I mean, I get it. You know, it may not have been the choice I would make, but I get it. You know, that's kind of all I can say about it. Is I feel terrible for it. I'm saddened by it, but I understand it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's a shame what's happened to his daughter too.
Oh, this is the part of our program where John gets lit.
Okay.
I agree with John 100% on this. This is just wrong.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, you want to fill everybody in in case they don't know.
Yeah. What's happened is his daughter Zelda has essentially been chased off of social media. Yeah. She has had to leave all social media because of the rotten, horrible, I'm going to say it, shitty things that people are saying about her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, you know, calling him a coward, you know, just crap like Limbaugh, Rush Limbaugh, that fucking idiot,
Wow.
was saying all kinds of crap about, you know, the liberal media made him do it, and this is Obama's fault, and all this other stuff. And then people are just saying horrible things about her dad. And, you know, once again, like I said, you don't know what was going on in the man's head.
Yep.
You have no idea. And, you know, instead of revel like we have in everything that he's given us, people just want to take away. People just want to say stuff to get their voice out there. And, you know, people as a species need to shut the hell up. Because people as a species are morons.
Yeah. It so saddened me when I heard this news that she had been, you know, subject to all this crap. Right. Because in the hours when the news broke, that's where I found my solace, and where we did our collective mourning was on Facebook and on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
And it was an awesome thing because we were able to share clips and all this stuff that, you know, all these memories. And like I said, my post got bounced around and people liked it and shared it.
Yeah, mine too. So.
And it was like that was just happening. And for then to hear later that other folks use the same medium to be so cruel is like, oh, this it just made me immensely sad.
Yeah, I was just disgusted. You know, I mean, I knew nothing about it until I was on Twitter and Neil Gaiman said something about it. And, you know, I went and tracked down what was going on, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What is wrong with people?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know where that kind of idiocy comes from. I mean, I know people are stupid. That is no surprise to me. But I don't know where that kind of idiocy, that kind of just hatefulness comes from out of a person that, you know, if you didn't like him, fine, whatever, who cares? But to do that and to do it tagged to his daughter.
Yeah. That's the problem.
You know, in her feed to say stuff like this. I mean, leave the woman alone. Yeah. You know, how would you feel if people were going, well, you know, your grandmother, how dare she die of a heart attack, that chain-smoking, you know, hard-drinking whore, you know, or whatever. So
it's harsh, and it comes down to people wanting to capitalize on it. They know this is a cultural touchstone moment, and everybody wants to take this and run with it and make it their own for whatever their cause is. I mean, like our friend Darren Mueller today, he walked into Best Buy and they'd moved all of the Robin Williams stuff to the front of the store in a display, saying, you know, inviting you to purchase Robin Williams movies. I mean, it's just it's tasteless in its own way, and it's just sad.
Yeah, that's tacky.
Yeah.
Yeah. One good thing came out of that is that I just found this on Forbes that Twitter is reviewing their policies because of this, and they've suspended accounts related to the abuse and everything. So I mean that's good. At least
good. They should, because that was one of the most heinous things that I've seen in a while, and this has been a kind of a week for heinous.
Right.
Well, you know,
not to go counter argument here, but that move by Twitter concerns me a little bit. I want to look more into that.
It does me too.
Because quite honestly, Twitter, who cares? I mean, I appreciate that this is a horrific moment for a celebrity family member, but if Twitter is bending because of a situation involving a celebrity, what does that mean for third world nations that are using Twitter as a way to mobilize against oppressive governments? I mean, that is such a minor thing compared to what they've stood up to in other areas. I don't know. I just had to throw a comment in there that rubs me a little bit fearful. But,
well, yeah, censorship of any sort of scares me. I mean, these people should be taken out and shot.
Yeah.
But they should be taken out and shot as individuals. You know, they shouldn't be taken. You don't change the entire culture because of a few idiots who can't keep their mouths shut.
Yeah.
You know, that thing I hate with every fiber of my being what you're saying, but I will fight to the death your right to say it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. But they are a private company and they can do whatever they want. So
yeah,
there's
that's true.
many
You know,
different angles to this. But
Absolutely.
I gotta be careful. I'm getting all Charlie Tonic. On that.
yeah, well, you know,
It's all right.
I don't have the Charlie Tonic form, so this is mine.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
But you know, like we said at the beginning. Oh yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
No, he's just such a. It is. We were sitting in a meeting where a man was doing a presentation and it just started blowing up on everybody's phone and the man almost couldn't continue his presentation. I know we all feel it. Everyone felt it. It's like you lost a family member.
Yeah,
It really is. I mean, you know, Lauren Bacall also died this week.
Yes.
Who you know was great actress, great films and stuff, but in all honesty, didn't even begin to touch me the way this did.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I felt her passing a little more acutely then, because, and it had something to do with my dad. And even with Robin Williams, my dad was tied into it. My brother's like, remember how Dad used to let us watch his HBO specials and stuff? But yeah, I mean, my sister's name is Lauren. So if that gives you any indication of my dad's
Love of that. Yeah.
well,
Dad was a fan.
It goes back to when I asked my dad, what is sexy? He had me watch Lauren Bacall telling Humphrey Bogart, you know how to whistle, don't you, Steve?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I always thought of her as like the sexiest woman alive. And so now the title is available, actually. So.
Well, they keep giving it away every year to people who really don't deserve it. But yeah.
But no, I thought that, you know, I'm glad that you guys mentioned her too, because I thought her passing was notable as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, I loved her. I love the old movies. You know, To Have and Have Not was a really good one, and I just clued Chuck on the one where I'm not sure if you've had a chance to watch it yet.
I haven't had a chance to watch it. I have gotten a copy of it since you mentioned it.
Yeah, The Big Sleep. I mean, you know, that is the kind of hard-boiled detective story, and you know, she's
still
incredible.
Not sure it makes sense.
Yeah, well, it never made
Big Sleep
sense.
is awesome.
It never made sense, but I mean that is the hard-boiled detective story, and she's fabulous in it, and
That's
Bogey's
Chandler,
fabulous in it. Yeah, it's a Philip Marlowe story. So you know, and she's fabulous in it, and Bogey's fabulous in it, and you see that kind of, you get why they're a couple by seeing them together, even though there's like a 20-some year age difference between them. You really understand, like, oh, okay, I understand why these two people got together.
Oh, that's what they mean by
you see
chemistry. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's if chemistry between people never made sense to you, go watch that movie.
Nice.
And you'll go, oh, yeah, okay. Now I get it.
And it's kind of wild. She's working to this day until she passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Doing voice work or something
Right.
like that?
Yeah.
And that voice never changed, really. I mean, it never changed with age.
Yeah.
You know how a lot of people from that era, their voice got lower, raspier, shakier. I mean, for God's sake, look at Betty Davis. The poor woman couldn't even keep, you know, her body straight from shaking. Yeah, cigarettes. But yeah, Lauren Bacall
like Marge off from Simpsons.
Oh yeah, definitely. But Lauren Bacall, I mean, I don't know if she smoked, but she always had that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was always that very smoky. Oh God, who's Kathleen Turner? You know what we think of Kathleen Turner later had that voice, but
Right.
that kind of very smoky, almost Jessica Rabbit voice, that sexy voice that kind of makes you go, oh, woman,
Can I non sequitur for just 2 seconds?
Oh, sure, please.
Talking about movies that don't necessarily make sense at the end. How about anybody here seen John Dies at the End?
No, I haven't.
No, I
okay.
don't think I have.
Never mind then. Okay, then. Yeah. Skip it. See, really obscure non sequitur, but my
Yeah,
God,
everybody Googled that.
Yeah.
John, it was just a really obscure. It just was out like a year or so ago. It's on Netflix right now,
Yeah.
but it is an uncomfortable watch and quite interesting.
I remember Eric talking that movie up at one point, I think.
Yeah, wow. That was an interesting watch. I'll put it that way. I'll leave it at that. Okay, back to the show. Sorry.
Well, also a non sequitur. I don't want this to become an episode of Tinseltown Stiffs, something Kevin Smith does on one of his shows. But do y'all remember the Star Trek episode where Spock was supposed to get married?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Ponfar episode. His
Yeah.
wife to be just recently died as well.
Oh, wow.
Arlene Martell.
Mm.
So, not that that has anything to do with anything, but yeah. And also someone from Game of Thrones died, who I can't remember who right now. But
He was actually just a brand new guy. He was going to play Dennis Mallister.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, the leader of the East Tower, I think it is. And they say
I
they're not
didn't really
going to recast him.
recognize. Wow, that's odd.
Okay.
That's crazy.
And now his watch has ended.
And now is what this ended. Yeah, winter has come for him
You beat me
early.
to it. I was about to say it.
Nice. So to
JJ
wrap-
Murphy is the guy's name, by the way. I have
okay.
my own Google person off to the side here.
Nice.
So how is the internet not counting down to the Doctor Who premiere, though? I'm like not hearing anything about it. It's like coming up in a week or two, right?
I just saw something about it.
Yeah, it has
keep
a little
seeing
bit, but
clips
it's
and
getting
things.
buried.
Okay. Wow.
It's getting buried.
I'm used to Doctor Who just like being this cultural thing that just feels like Walking Dead coming. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Or
sadly,
Game
it's
of Thrones
getting
coming. Yeah,
it's
a
getting
little-
buried beneath Death and Ferguson.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's getting buried between all that stuff.
Yeah, there was something posted actually the day the Robin Williams news came out,
Okay, gotcha.
and so it just got buried. Because
Yeah, I
of
mean, that took all the air out of the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Like there was I think I watched a clip of Conan's show, and they got the news about Robin as they were recording the show. Yeah.
The day of,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen it, but supposedly Jimmy Fallon did a really nice tribute.
Yeah, I heard about
So
that.
people can go look that up.
Yeah.
After spending a few hours online and talking about it and stuff, I had to break away, and I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy for a second time to try to cheer myself up.
Nice. And of course, we'll definitely be talking about that in detail. That's our topic time. We'll get to in just a second.
Yay.
To wrap up the Robin Williams thing, I know we've mentioned different things that stood out to us. Let's go around the table again. What is your favorite Robin Williams movie, Chuck?
Oh God.
Oh, favorite Robin Williams movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love so many, but I sincerely have a love for his character in Good Morning Vietnam.
Okay. I kind
thought
of
that
had a
was just a
feeling you'd say that.
Phenomenal movie.
I know you a little too well, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you do, because I didn't even know that answer. until you asked
That was
me.
standing out to me as soon as I said your name.
Okay.
I don't know.
There you go.
Mike?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably Dead Poets Society.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. John, what about you?
Yeah, you all are gonna think me insane. So what else is new? But honestly, Popeye.
I'm kind of glad you said that because
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Popeye.
Yeah.
Because
yes. Oh my Lord.
because it was.
He
such
said it makes
complete-
sense if you watch it backwards.
Exactly. and not even that it made sense, or honestly, it was a crap movie and all that. But
I loved it.
me too. But I will acquiesce to the people who think it's crap. But just the fact that it was such a complete transformation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always done it with his voice.
Yeah.
And if you want a really good Robin Williams as voice thing, go watch Moscow on the Hudson,
Yeah.
where he learned Russian for the part. By the way, so he knows Russian. He could speak in Russian, not just the parts of the movie, but he went and hung out with Russians. But anyway, it's such a complete transformative thing, not only in his voice, his mannerisms, his body, just everything. You could get, if you allowed yourself to, you could get lost in it and go, okay, that's not Robin Williams, that's Popeye, that's the cartoon that I've watched all these years and everything.
Yeah.
So.
It's wild. That was only his second movie ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm glad you said that, because the two that stand out for me personally are the two that kind of get trashed all the time, which is Popeye and Hook.
Yeah.
And I love Hook. That's like
Hook.
Yeah.
Hook is good. That was good. I mean, heck, even the mediocre ones, Night at the Museum, Jumanji. I mean, I still loved them. I still enjoyed them.
Yeah, but I'm not going to stick up for Patch Adams.
Well, no, that's the one I'll draw the line at.
Yeah, even the real Patch Adams won't stick up for Patch.
No.
But I even love The World According to Garp. Back when I was a kid, my dad took me to see that.
There you go. Okay, that trumps Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah, I didn't understand
Garp is it. I'm sorry, Garp is it.
I saw that in the movie theaters. Yeah. Again, thanks to my dad.
Yes. Okay. My poor dad had no idea what he was taking to me, because when we went to see World According to Garp, and we got in the car after watching that movie, and I had so many questions that my dad did not want to answer.
Dad, why was that big guy in a dress?
No, it had more to do with blowjobs, but
okay.
What does she mean that he lost his in surgery?
Yeah, exactly. That's the scene.
Yep.
Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my poor dad. He was just shell-shocked coming out of the movie. He had no idea. I've loved that thing ever since.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I like that this turned into more of a celebration of his career than anything else. So, yeah, we sadly miss him, and we, our hearts and condolences and everything go out to his friends and family, of course.
Nanu.
Yeah. Nanu. Yes.
Yeah, nanu.
All right, so it's topic time.
Woohoo!
Topic time. It's topic time.
Topic time. And as we said, we're definitely talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Finally, we're behind everybody else, but that's okay.
We just didn't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, really.
Exactly. There you go. Plus,
even the Charlie Tonic Hour did a segment on Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was about to say, we're the kindest ones because we waited until everybody else saw it before we started talking about it.
I don't mean to laugh, but we did Guardians of the Galaxy, Robin Williams, and the representation of women in comics on the show this week. So this is like part 2 of what I was discussing earlier.
There you go. I think half the podcast on CR did.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone else has done it.
But
it is kind of a thing.
Oh, yes, definitely. But we definitely wanted to wait until we had Mike being the Cosmic Marvel guy, the resident Cosmic Marvel guy of Zone 4, and comic related as well. So,
thank you for waiting. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I love talking about this shit. So,
all right. So I think it's safe to say we all loved the movie.
I did. I just went to see it a second time, like I was saying.
I was about to say it's the only movie that I've ever watched twice in a theater.
Mm. Wow.
It's the first time I've gone to a 3D movie.
Oh, wow.
It's the first time I ever went to an IMAX 3D movie.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was fantastic.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there, Chuck.
No. I've been stepping on everybody, so please, I'm sorry. I deserve some boot prints. I'm like overdrive. No, I think it quite probably is my favorite Marvel movie to date. Honestly, I loved it. I think my only complaints were more genre generic complaints, and I can talk about those later. I don't want to lead with complaints, but
okay.
I love the film. The film was phenomenal, and Jenny, who is not a fan of comic movies, usually holds them to a little bit of a higher standard than I think they need to be held to sometimes. Absolutely loved it. I heard her belly laughing at points, and that's just something I don't hear much out of her in a theater, so it was phenomenal. It reached across. The kids saw it, and they absolutely just love it. I got a little plant in here, and Charlotte is just calling it Groot at every turn. I mean, it just crossed everybody loved it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just great.
Largest August opening in history. Was that movie?
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It just had a good heart, you know? It was
Yeah.
like fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't trying to be gritty or dark. It was like it didn't take itself too seriously. It had an element of cheese that it wasn't too ashamed of.
Yeah.
There was just a lot to really endear it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it didn't go too far into the cheesy and comedy. It still had your action and your drama and everything, which was something I was actually a tiny bit concerned about. I was like, I hope they don't go full on humor, you know. But they balanced it perfectly, I thought.
Yeah.
So
Was that not one of the greatest opening sequences in the history of?
so emotional too.
I mean, just the singing, the dancing, the picking up of the little critter and singing into it like a micro. It was so playfully lovable. It set the stage for everything that followed in that film.
Yeah.
It was a perfect opening, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. This was Marvel showing they could go beyond, you know, the norm and kind of give us something different and still make us love it. And
Yeah.
I kind of wished I was 11 years old again to see
Yeah.
it as an 11-year-old.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
But
yes.
I mean, I can't be greedy. I was 11 when Star Wars,
There
the
you go.
original one, came out, and I got to see that as an 11-year-old. So,
Yeah.
but I was thinking, you know, this is a movie like that for 11-year-olds now.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, that this is gonna warp young minds for centuries. I love it.
Yeah, I have heard people say that this is this generation's Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You know, it really is that it'll have that kind of resonance to them, or for them.
Yeah.
The
in years to
reaction
come.
of the
Yeah.
11-year-old in my house backs that up 100%.
Just to toss out numbers real quick, as of yesterday, actually, over 193 billion. Is it not billion? What million? Yeah, billion. Right, 193 million domestic, 330 million worldwide. So that's huge.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's I don't know. It's a movie I don't think any of us, when Marvel started doing movies, I don't think any of us expected this one to come as fast as it did. And, you know, it's one that you don't, I mean, when you start thinking about it, okay, Iron Man, Hulk, and all this stuff, and, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy, well, I think we all love and appreciate the, you know, the comics, you know, featuring the characters. It's not one that we probably thought, oh, this is going to be, you know, the runaway hit, and this is going to be something they, you know, really put their thought and money into.
I remember Kevin Feige like teasing that there was going to be a space movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, well, they'll never do Guardians.
Yeah. You were wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, when I
love
first
these
heard it.
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying, John?
No, I was going to say, when I first heard it, I was like, really?
Yeah. It's,
You know,
No way.
everything you could have picked, Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
It was unusual, but I mean, you know, it kind of makes me a little bit thankful that they didn't have the Fantastic Four license back, and you know, different things, because I think if they had, maybe this would have gotten pushed even further back.
Yeah.
There would have been a surfer movie first.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Ant-Man now. I don't think I'd ever would have said those words.
I can't get there yet.
I think what's cool is that, you know, it's clear that Marvel is now pursuing genre movies that have superheroes or comic book elements in them.
Yeah.
It's not that they're making superhero movies, they're making comedies that have a superhero element. They're making 70s spy movies that have a superhero element. And now they're making a heist movie, a comedy heist movie with a superhero element with Ant-Man. So I think that's going to be cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, speaking of some of the actors involved in this, I think I know there was like a lot of concern about Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper with the voices. It's like I know John, for when we first heard about Bradley Cooper doing Rocket Raccoon, we were both very skeptical. It was like, I don't know if he can pull that off, and I think he did a great job.
I mean, I can't see any other voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For Rocket now. I mean, it is Bradley Cooper's voice now that when I see the picture, I hear that voice in my head now.
I was going to say the same thing. I came home and I was looking at one of the comics and I'm reading through it and I'm reading Rocket's lines and I'm like hearing Cooper's voice reading them. So.
Yeah. I mean, I always would have, back in the day, given Rocket like a really thick Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
before, and now it's totally his voice.
Yeah. And Vin Diesel had a very limited script.
Oh, but he did a lot with it.
He did a lot
give him
with it.
credit.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was shocked by that.
Yeah.
Not since Iron Giant have I been like a Vin Diesel fan.
Yeah.
Like in this way, because I don't really give a crap about the car movies or anything else like that. But yeah, this
Go ahead.
You're insane. But
No.
but no, just the fact that he could get so much out of 3 words.
Mm-hmm.
I was
incredible.
hard to know. He's such a geek. I mean,
Yeah.
he is a D&D playing, old school, one of us kind of guy, and I had a feeling that he might be able to pull this off, and I didn't know what he would do. I couldn't imagine it would be more than just the inflections and the heart that he put into that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the CGI animation for Groot
Yeah.
was pretty damn
Oh,
awesome.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, when those sparkling little flies of whatever came up out of it, it was like I suddenly saw it and I'm like, my God, this is what I want Swamp Thing to be like if they ever do. It's like I'm seeing what I want for other characters. They've done this so well. It's just amazing.
There were just so many great moments with both him and Rocket. Rocket waking up and like his fur is matted against his face, and he's like, that kind of stuff. And Groot, standing over. I can't think of it. When he found out Rocket said something, and we don't care about your mom dying or whatever. And stuff like that.
Well, I mean, the thing that really stands out, for Groot, and it had nothing to do with Vin Diesel's voice either, sadly, but when he essentially pulled the Hulk move and had all those people, skewered through with his vine and then was beating them against the wall for 5 minutes and then turned around and smiled, I nearly fell out of my chair.
For me, it was. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and sadly, the first time we saw it, we were stuck way up in front. So like that was right in my face. Him turning around and smiling like that, and I was like, I almost fell down. I really did. Well, part of the reason I had to see it a second time is because I was laughing so much the first time.
Nice. Chucky, you were saying?
Oh no, just the other thing is just the beauty of physical humor, which you don't see as much. The old school visual gags that they did through parts of this, like when they were in the prison sequence, they're talking and Rocket's putting together the plan.
Yeah.
And when you see and you're watching in the background Groot as he's elaborating the plan, just going ahead. He heard one thing and just went ahead about it, and when he had got the. It was such a beautiful moment. It was visual, physical. There's nothing there but what you're seeing making the joke, and you just don't get that as much anymore.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much involved, and I need that guy's leg.
Yeah. Oh, that was a joke. No.
Oh yeah, it was even better. The second time that came up. And that guy's eye. He's like, we don't need his eye. No, I need it really, and he couldn't stop laughing.
It was the fact that he couldn't stop laughing that made the joke. It was not. It was not returned to. It was layered as joke humor.
But
callback, man. Awesome.
Yeah,
exactly. But I love that scene you're talking about, Chuck, because Rocket's like, we definitely need to grab that last. Beep.
Or we can improvise. And they're like leg, arm thing. Everyone's running off to do their thing.
Oh, man.
Although I do love, this is just like the quirkiness of different youths looking at this. Mm-hmm. The 11-year-old in my household is like, the sequence where the gravity goes and it's okay. He's like, but if you're in a Halo, there's one central gravity control for the entire ship, and it would not make sense that there would be a separate gravity control for that one area. I was like, that is so beautiful. So many levels.
It's like
that level of
together.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That level of analysis.
Yeah. Oh man. I was honestly impressed by Batista. I'm a wrestling guy, and I know this guy from wrestling, and he's not the greatest person on the mic when he's in the ring and stuff. And
I was about to say, not the sharpest tool in the shed there, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it was that deadpan kind of stuff, and he just kind of sold it. He used what he knew and worked with it, and just like Nothing will go over
Oh
my
yeah,
head.
honestly,
I will catch it.
my reflexes are far too fast. I would catch it. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like, oh my God, who would think of that?
It's right. But yeah, he delivered well for what he was. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I'm an old Warlock in the Infinity Watch reader. I mean, Drax, and from the old days there, I've loved that character for years, and I did think that was a phenomenal representation of him in aggregate. I don't know. Mike can probably do a lot better justice on discussing that point, but whether he agrees or disagrees.
Well, he looks a lot more like the modern Drax, but he acted a lot more like the Drax of the Infinity Watch.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like, there were those different Draxes. I mean, what I call the dumb Drax. That was, where he was almost mindless.
Yeah.
And then, the more megalomaniacal Drax. So, and I think we saw parts of that kind of in the story, in the movie. That kind of single-mindedness about getting Ronin.
Yeah.
And then Thanos at the end, which was
and
like,
then Thanos.
Exactly. I was about to get to that. Yeah, because in the comics he was created to take out Thanos, and I was like, okay,
exactly.
They've changed it to Ronin, but when it came up at the end, like you said, he said, "No, I've got to get Thanos," whatever he said, and they're like, "Oh man," it was like, "Yeah, that's great, that's awesome."
Like, here we go again.
Perfect.
And seeing Thanos on the screen in all his glory,
oh my God,
the first time, I fanboyed out.
Yeah.
I shed a tear. I teared up. I tried to hide it as much as I can, but I shed a tear because that's just Thanos. Also, is another character just goes back to day one for me.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah, and I was so scared when they said Josh Brolin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, we're gonna get Cowboy Thanos. And it totally wasn't that. Thankfully, it was incredible. It was great.
It was perfect.
Did you guys see the Comic-Con panel, by the way, where he came out at the end?
Oh yeah, with the Infinity Gauntlet. Said, "Where's my rose?"
Yeah, and he ate the rose. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Missed that. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
It's amusing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because Robert Downey Jr. is like giving roses to the girls, and he's throwing some out to the crowd. And Josh Brolin walks out at the end, and he's like, "Where's my rose?" And he gives it to him, and he just looks at it and eats it.
Yeah, wearing a toy Infinity Gauntlet on his hand.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It was a cool moment.
Yeah. What about what's the guy from Walking Dead? I forget his name. Played the guy with the arrow in the movie.
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker. Yeah.
Thank you.
He played Yondu.
Yondu, thank you. I totally blanked there, but I enjoyed his character a lot in that. I mean, it was the same Michael Rooker we see in everything he does, it fit this role really well. So.
Yeah, he's
well,
kind
it was
of
really Yondu as written for Rooker. It wasn't Yondu as he appears in the comic.
Right,
So.
Exactly.
Yeah, very much so. And Rooker is kind of the director's muse. I mean, he's in pretty much every movie he does.
Yeah.
In one way or another. But yeah, it was great, and the fact that he was kind of cowboy worked. I mean, really worked for that portrayal of Yondu.
Exactly.
I thought the arrow, Yondu's arrow, was very well done, and the fact that
that was smart.
His mohawk lit up as he did that, it was like, okay, that's close to the character.
Yeah. If not in character, it's close to the certain.
There's
aspect.
a spirit to it. Yeah. There's a spirit to it. They're matching.
Right.
His arrow really reminded me of the old character Nexus.
Oh yeah.
The way the beams of energy would kind of go around and hit targets at different angles. It was
that he wanted them to hit.
Yeah, fascinating.
And I'm not a Doctor Who person. I know you guys are.
Yeah.
But but this was a downplayed role, but she did so much with it. I thought Karen Gillan was phenomenal as Nebula.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd never know she was the same person as the Doctor's companion.
Oh my God, I knew that from back when they were doing the casting.
But you forgot it when you watched it?
Forgot, didn't you?
And didn't catch that at all in the movie until you mentioned that right now.
Wow, yeah.
No, because you don't see Amy Pond in that character at
all.
all.
No.
I can't wait to get upstairs and tell the other people in the house who that is.
Yeah.
I forgot. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the only time I looked at her and thought, pardon me, the only time that I thought, oh, there's Amy Pond, is when she went, "Thanks, Dad."
Yeah.
When she was talking to Thanos.
Wow.
And I'm like, Amy Pond nod. That kind of thing there. But, yeah, completely. And the fact that she was such an action person, such a kick-ass person, I mean, you expect that of the Zoe Saldana.
Right.
But you do not expect that out of her at all.
Maybe you should now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe you should adjust that. I mean, she kicked a little ass on Doctor Who, but you didn't expect, like, throwdown, sword fight, that sort of thing.
I wanted to see more of her.
She'll be back.
Exactly.
No
Yeah.
doubt, she'll be back.
Definitely.
I mean, Nebula is a pretty prominent character in the comics.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think she actually destroys Xandar at one point.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Guardians 2.
Oh, there's so many things.
Oh,
I know.
Even though they were presence in the Nova Corps in the movie, but it wasn't like an overwhelming presence. But they were there. You got that.
Yeah, you saw them. Yeah.
You got that idea of a larger cosmic thing going on. There's the mention of Star-Lord's father, which we'll get to in a bit too, and just different things that made it feel like its own universe.
Right.
So it's a magical experience.
Yeah. The last person. Go ahead, Mike.
The cool thing was that they as they created this new universe, they tied it back to ours with the music.
Right.
Yeah. So well grounded.
Yeah, I mean the fact that people are actively going out and looking for the awesome mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it showed up on
Number
YouTube
one album in the
and
country,
stuff.
man. Number one album in the country last week for real.
Yeah, exactly.
And the cover they used for the soundtrack it looks just like the cassette tape in the movie.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Any favorite Easter eggs for everybody?
The credit scene.
Oh, okay. Howard the Duck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck and Cosmo.
Cosmo, even though
Cosmo
he didn't
was
talk
in there. Yep. Licked a face or two. Yep.
Yeah.
I liked when he was on the waste planet there, the wiped out planet at the start when he comes across the thing that kind of looks like a skeleton of Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't
Second
catch
time
that at the
through, I
time,
picked
but yeah, I
up
can
on
see that.
Yeah,
Second time through, I'm like, that kind of looks like a horse sort of head.
Well, and then in the collector's thing, people have been saying that they see Beta Ray Bill in one of the enclosures.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
I've never caught it, but
Yeah.
people have been saying that they have seen, that they actually saw, obviously without the Thor-inspired costume, but,
Right.
they did see him there.
So
Warlock Cocoon was a pretty nice touch.
Yeah,
that was actually first seen at the end of Dark World, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Warlock
Yeah,
Cocoon.
you said that's the second time for that. Also in there that I thought was cool, they had a Chitauri.
Yep.
They had one of the Dark Elves from, Thor,
From the Dark World, yeah.
Thor: The Dark World in there.
I'll go to my corner of shame. I haven't seen Dark World yet.
Oh, you gotta
I haven't seen the second Cat
you.
movie either yet. So.
How dare you, sir.
I know.
Movie
There's
time.
some great movies, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
I so want to get to I was just thinking about the other day. I was like, I haven't watched those yet. Why haven't I watched those yet?
I have 3 words for you. Actually 4. Too much Big Brother.
I got 4 other words for you. Derby City Comic Con. Yeah, no, actually, Big Brother's probably more legitimate since I'm watching 2 of them right
I know
now.
what you watch while you work.
I'm watching British and American simultaneously. That's okay.
Wow.
It's like mainlining it.
I got one word for you: obsessed.
Hey, the fact that the Australian Big Brother actually tweeted back at me the other day was pretty funny. I was asking them when the season would begin for them.
You are obsessed.
Total sidetrack, but did you see the comic cover thing that I was telling you about on Big Brother?
Cover thing. No, I haven't yet. I'm way behind.
Okay.
The U.S. one I'm watching with family, and family were gone to Florida for a time. The kids were gone to Florida, so we're just now catching up. So
I
I'm
think it was
behind.
the August 6th episode. Whenever you get that, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's Ross Hughes who did the covers to the first couple of wannabes. His color work is featured on that show.
Yes. And also our good friend Kerry Kelly. A lot of projects with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just want to toss that out there, since we were mentioning Big Brother.
Yeah, got to.
But yeah, I don't know. You said you had some nitpicks, Chuck. What were your nitpicks?
No, it's more genre nitpicks.
Okay.
And it's just, it is. The only thing I would say that I would like to have seen a little differently is a lot of the Guardians of the Galaxy runs almost have a little bit more of an Ocean's 11 take to them. There's always like a little bit, this was, I think, followed a little bit more of the traditional Hollywood blockbuster format, which there are certain timestamps where things happen in the movie, and it's not a problem with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's more a problem with action movies right now in general that have changed over the last few years, where you can actually almost time down when certain things are going to happen in a movie. And I thought they did a really good job of deviating from that, but they also came back to it at certain points. You got to have the climax with the epic battle that everybody's trying to outdo each other with. And I think that worked really well here. I'm not discrediting Guardians of the Galaxy at all for that, because I think they held that format that is an expectation of Hollywood right now, and they did it in a really, really nice way. So I think that was a success for them. I wish that we could get a big bulked up, this is a separate gripe for me. I wish we could get a really big bulked up female protagonist. Just these wayfish, everyone has to be ultra thin, wayfish, and a martial artist. It fits the characters here, but can we not get a woman with a howitzer who's plowing her way through the middle of, the field like Captain America? There's a reason that I think a Wonder Woman movie can work, and I think we keep falling into this trap where we don't get a female character that feels organically different than every other one out there. And this wasn't the movie to do that in. They followed the characters really well, and it deservedly. So that's why I said these aren't complaints about the movie. These are complaints about comic genre in general that I would like to see us break a few molds as we go forward.
Yeah.
I like the way that they kind of pulled themselves up out of that, though, and sort of made a sense, when Star-Lord's like, it's kind of a Maltese Falcon, Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I give it to you.
There was an awareness of it that was like even referred to in a self-referential, funny sort of way. I like that. I think even though they were mining those tropes you were talking about, there was
succeeded.
A tongue-in-cheek. Yeah.
That's what I say. I can't discredit them at all for it, even though it does bother me in a broader sense. But it doesn't. They did great with it here. It was phenomenal. Yeah.
I think if I had to nitpick something, I think Lee Pace was decent as Ronan, but I think it could have been done just a little bit better, personally. Go ahead.
One Easter egg that I thought was interesting is towards the end, just before they're about to kill Ronan, and Star-Lord calls him Turd Blossom. I thought, well, is that a political statement? Because you know who Turd Blossom is, don't you? No?
No.
No.
That's George W. Bush's nickname for Karl Rove. Karl Rove is known as Turd Blossom.
Wow.
And so when he's calling this warmongering, power-hungry maniac Turd Blossom, I'm thinking, Karl Rove.
I totally missed that.
That's nice.
I don't know if he intended it or not, but it worked for me.
While you're talking about Ronan, I thought killing him was kind of a dumb move.
Yeah.
I think, especially if you're thinking at all about doing an Inhumans story.
Exactly, right.
There's such a beautiful, but then again, he was killed with the Infinity Gauntlet, so that means nothing. But, yeah, I mean, that everybody comes back from the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, you just find another, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, not the Gauntlet. He was killed by one of the gems.
Yeah.
Infinity
Yeah,
gems.
it looks like it's the power, probably.
Yeah. So just go get another one.
Yeah.
But,
I saw some complaints about Thanos not being in it much and stuff like that, and the slow build. There was actually a stupid article I shared with you guys, Chuck and John,
saw that. Yeah.
About somebody saying the Marvel movies are being ruined by this slow build to the Infinity Gauntlet, and I was like, really? That's your take on it?
No, that's the basis for all the Marvel movies. If you pay attention,
right?
But that's usually that's the kind of the gripe I'm seeing from a lot of the fanboys who are like cosmic fans who love the 2008 Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning series. They're all like, this isn't matching up. I don't know. And then, you know, they're bitching and moaning. And it's like, when I think of how much would have to already be in place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for that to happen.
You can't do that.
It's like, no, you can't. It wasn't going to ever be like that.
Right. Now, one thing I do want to say that I think could be freaking phenomenal for the future is with the success of Cosmic Marvel and the success of the Avengers, my God, Kree Skull War.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see that so bad.
Oh, my God.
But you know what? They don't have the Skrulls.
They don't.
that's
They
true. It's a
haven't put the
Fantastic
Skrulls
Four
in
thing.
there.
True. Yeah.
They don't
They
have the rights to it,
because they're tied into the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Although
Same
that
is
could
true of the
change.
Badoon. That's why they couldn't have the Badoon. He wrote the script with the Badoon in place of the Ronan's followers. There were Sakaran in the
Right,
movie.
yeah.
I think they did.
Isn't that why they used the Chitauri in the Avengers as well?
No, they used the Chitauri because they were in the Ultimates.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were an easy beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, for the Avengers, they were an easy group to clobber.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, they were in the Ultimates in that Ultimates 1 and 2 series. They battled the Chitauri. They battled the Chitauri. So.
Well, somebody needs to sue somebody because I'm getting a single geek tier here. So.
Yeah. And honestly, just from a visual standpoint, I think the Badoon would have been really hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, they look like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
You know, if you really look at them, they look kind of like Ninja Turtle lizard people.
The Badoon are kind of like the traditional enemies of the Guardians.
Yeah,
so
true.
That's why they wanted to, I think, go for that. But
Yeah, it makes sense. It really does.
Well, you know, you got people bitching that they didn't use Charlie 23 and Nikki and Starhawk and all that too. It's like you couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
How could you have put that together? One, how do you explain Vance Astro first off?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's no way. But I mean, go ahead, Mike.
They said from the outset they were going to be doing this team.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
Or a basic version of
I
it.
think it was nice, even with the complaints that he wasn't totally in character. I think it was nice that they did throw Yondu in there.
Yeah.
Because of that, harkening back to that.
Yeah, it was a nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we've got this character. We need him to be somebody. Who are we going to have him be? Let's make him Yondu.
Exactly.
You could tell it was kind of like that sort of process. At least that's kind of, to me, what I was seeing.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the way I felt too. Yeah.
They wanted to do a nod of something, and they're like, this would be a good kind of thing. He's not the spiritual blah 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 guy from the original Guardians, but there are still basic core concepts of the character that are there. So
it's kind of funny because that was the one question I got when I asked on Facebook, hey, anybody got any Guardians questions? This friend of mine who's like a longtime podcaster, T. Morris, wrote Podcasting for Dummies. So, I mean, he's like
nice.
Way back in the day. But yeah, T chimed in. He's like, so exactly how close was the movie to the comic book series? I've been hearing that the movie took liberties, or is that just fanboy rage?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, yeah, the movie took liberties. Yes, and there's fanboy rage. But I think there's starting to be that question, people who aren't familiar with the series, and that's most people are going, oh wait, is this not like the comics?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, yeah, it really isn't. But what I found, and like we were speaking of with Drax earlier, is I felt like they captured the spirit of all these characters they did a really great job of that. I just feel like they did that in a good way. It's like I felt like that was Star-Lord, even though they changed aspects of the character, for sure. Yeah. I still felt like, there's a lot of Star-Lord right up there, and I love seeing Star-Lord on the screen, and this Star-Lord will work for me.
Yeah. Exactly. And, I'm kind of surprised that we're still getting that kind of reaction.
Yeah.
Given that, all the Marvel movies, they've deviated from different things in it. But like you said, in all of them, they still keep the spirit of the characters and the important parts of their histories and everything intact. But, obviously it's a different medium. You have to change things to fit that medium.
Okay, let me just say this, okay? For all us comic book geeks, this team, this Guardians of the Galaxy team, comes together in the Star-Lord miniseries that's part of the Annihilation Conquest maxi miniseries, or whatever you want to call it, the event series.
Right.
So this is happening when they're fighting against the Phalanx, who have taken over Kree space,
Right.
and they are being controlled ultimately by Ultron. So the Guardians, as they come together, end up fighting Ultron, and let's be clear here, Groot sacrifices himself for the rest of the team as they fight Ultron, and that's, at the end, Groot is being grown back in a little pot, and
one panel at a time for a whole issue, which I love.
Yeah.
So
but it's like, you know what? The Avengers are going to be battling Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see an Ultron villain in Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and good luck ever seeing the Phalanx.
Yeah, exactly. That would be, that'd be very hard to pull off, I think.
I think.
Well, everybody would be like, "Oh, it's the Borg. They're ripping off the Borg."
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. I think we're going to see. I think we got the directionality wrong. I think less over time. I think we're going to see less of the comics influence the movies as the movies influencing the comics.
Right.
I throw out there as examples, Mark Waid's new S.H.I.E.L.D. series, which is incorporating some of the television characters. Them handing Green Arrow over to the writing team of the television series. There's so many things where the characters that become loved in the films or hell, Coulson in his role now in the Marvel Universe, which wasn't there prior to the character that much. There's so much that's coming from the movies even back into the comics, and I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either.
It's blending the two and bringing the two together in a really nice way that makes both more comfortable.
And it's evolving the comics for a new generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, go ahead.
you can't. I'm sorry, 11-year-olds don't turn on to 25 years of continuity.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Very true.
And that's the main thing about all the bitching and griping about, not being with the comics. It's like, it's great that you can keep that much, continuity in your head. I can keep that much continuity in my head. That, that's fine, but not everybody cares about the continuity of all this, and people need, and you got to remember that these are feature films. Mm-hmm. These are made to be for a wide audience, not just us geeks.
Yep.
And that, that shows that the amount of money that it made shows that it succeeded.
But, John, that said, when I'm watching this film, and especially watching it the second time, and I'm able to take more in, and I'm looking at the backgrounds, and I'm like, there's an awareness of these comics, because these backgrounds look like the frickin' books. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. And then, just like when they show Star-Lord in the kiln, he's dressed almost exactly the way Star-Lord was in the Thanos miniseries when they first brought Star-Lord back into the Marvel Universe. Keith Giffen did this when he was writing the Thanos miniseries before Annihilation, before the Drax series. And Star-Lord is in the kiln, and Thanos goes there. And that's where you first meet Star-Lord in the modern, quote-unquote, Marvel Universe in the early 2000s. And he's dressed in the yellow and the whole thing, and it's like you see stuff like this and you realize there is an awareness of these books throughout this movie, even when they're not necessarily giving you a one-for-one representation.
Right. I think that proves the point of why it was so successful. It appealed to both audiences in such a major way.
Yeah.
In a lesser way, Iron Man did in a much, much lesser way appeal to both the geek audience and the everyday audience. Mm-hmm. But this one is so right down the middle of the road for both. It's a great story and great sci-fi, funny action movie for the regular folks. And then, we get the nods of, these guys with the, the lit, 3 circles attached together by 2 lines, Nova Corps. I I don't know that they said the word Novacore more than, 3 or 4 times in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
But we know. It's like the minute we saw it, Novacore.
Yeah.
Right.
Marvel,
and all those things.
Marvel's got it figured out. They know how.
Yeah.
They know that they can deviate. They know they can deviate in a way to make a really good movie, and they know to give enough nods back to the fanboys that we're going to tear up and geek out.
Right.
And they've got us still hooked, that was perfect. That is exactly what we got with Guardians of the Galaxy. Just what John was saying. We got enough nods that the people who know the continuity felt, oh, okay, yeah, they do remember that. Oh, they are doing that little thing.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
As much as I say I'm willing to accept all this stuff, if they ever do a Legion of Superheroes movie, watch my colors change like night and day.
That is not Element Lad.
All of the non-continuity. I want the Giffen years. I want Zero Hour. I want Valor. I want everything.
I think we all have.
Talk about a.
Oh, go ahead, John.
That's a miniseries, dude.
Yeah.
That's a miniseries. That's not a
HBO
movie.
Yeah. I think we all have those specific properties that we probably get a little bit more bent out of shape. I mean, with me, it's G.I. Joe. So it's.
I'm sorry, you got
you're very mad then.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
For me, it would have been this stuff, the cosmic side of Marvel, and granted, they did not touch Adam. No Adam Warlock here, so. I mean, they haven't screwed that up yet. So, that is like one of my favorite characters. So I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see.
Agreed, my friend. Agreed.
The cocoon is there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I thought we were going to see him, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But you can only do so much. And after I saw the movie, I was like, well, of course you couldn't have him in that.
Yeah. But, I mean, we knew there was going to be a sequel before this movie even came out, so there's lots of places to go with this.
Talk about big surprises, though. I know I probably heard this at some point leading up to this, but how did I not realize until I'm sitting there going, oh my God, that's Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
You didn't see Thor 2
you
yet.
haven't seen Thor 2.
Yeah, that's
why.
It. You didn't see Thor, that's why.
Yeah, because that's the end credit scene.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
that was quite shocking.
Yeah.
I loved it.
There was a lot of fan outrage about Howard the Duck showing up.
Really?
There was like, oh God, we're gonna get a Howard the Duck movie. Why are we doing this? And it's like, it was just a nice little thing, for the fans of the, just to harken back to, classic Marvel stuff too. It's just
absolutely.
And you know what it let them do? It let them give Steve Gerber a screen credit.
Exactly.
And you know what Steve Gerber did? Steve Gerber brought the Guardians of the Galaxy back into the public eye in the 70s by writing them into his Defenders series.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Steve Gerber is responsible for the Guardians, really, coming back after their like one run as a one anthology story. So
yeah.
I love Keith Giffen talking about Rocket Raccoon, and he's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe he's become this because we wrote him as a throwaway joke referencing the Beatles song. He's like, I can't believe that this is him on the screen based on that one joke we had.
Did you guys see the very cool thing where they arranged for a showing for Bill Mantlo?
No.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. That was
that was
that
beautiful.
Was classy.
They set up a private viewing in his convalescent room with his brother and a couple of people. Like they had a lawyer from Marvel and I think was it David Gabriel? I think maybe went over.
I think so. Yeah.
But it was a couple of the Marvel guys and Bill and a couple of his family, and they screened the whole movie for him right in his room so he could watch the whole thing, and he teared up. He can't really communicate much, but you could tell he gave like a big thumbs up, and so he had the chance to see this, and they took a couple pictures, and it's just like, oh my God, they did this right. Thank God.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Now, for people who are listening who don't know, make the connection there if you don't mind.
Well, Bill Mantlo is the co-creator of Rocket along with Keith Giffen.
Exactly.
And poor Bill was in an accident where he was, I think, hit by a car is what happened, but he had traumatic brain injury, TBI, and has lost the ability to communicate and lost a lot of his motor skills, and so he's kind of bedridden, doesn't have a lot of abilities, and he's kind of, I mean, that's the saddest thing. As a writer, as a communicator, I can only imagine being trapped inside yourself like that.
Right.
So poor Bill is in that condition. and so requires a lot of medical assistance and things like that. And for a while, things have been kind of shitty for him.
Yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, with this current thing that's going on, I've heard Marvel is taking complete care of him, and a lot of other things. So it's like,
That's awesome.
Thank God this is working out this way.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, that's really good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked, a lot about the movie. We love the movie. Can't wait for more.
Oh my gosh!
All
Yes.
huge fans. There is some news coming out about the movies. And,
Oh yeah.
we did get that. We talked about this earlier. We did get a mention of Star-Lord's father, kind of as a throwaway line, but it was not really a
Couple
throwaway
of times,
line.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his mother says he was an angel, a being of pure light.
Yeah.
And then at the end, just before Yondu says he was a jackass, I believe.
Right, yeah.
Yondu describes himself as an angel.
Yeah.
So, interesting thing, James Gunn is in Bangkok promoting Guardians, and he makes the comment, I can say that the father in the movie is not exactly who he is in the comic books. And that's all.
Yeah.
He said that a couple times.
Yeah, and he says, he'll be showing up pretty soon. So, interesting.
Yeah, but
Nice.
soon
We don't
means
know
a
if
lot
it's
of things.
Jason or not.
Yeah.
No, he's making it sound like it's not going to be Jason of the Spar Toy.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And even, when they mention him when Nova Prime, Glenn Close's character, talks about Star-Lord, she said, you're half of an ancient race we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily sound like anybody
Sparkly,
that's
yeah.
around
Right.
currently. It doesn't sound like Kree for certain.
No.
Maybe
So
the Celestial.
Or Inhuman.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Which brings us to another point of Vin Diesel. Speaking of him, he just made this random comment on Facebook saying,
Marvel thinks I'm Inhuman.
exactly, and everybody's kind of run away with that. Oh, they're doing an Inhumans movie because that's already been rumored anyway. But
Would it be funny if he was the voice of Lockjaw?
Actually, it'd be
like
very
Gorgon.
funny if he... No, I was going to say it'd be very funny if he was Black Bolt.
yeah,
No, he
Yeah,
No dialogue.
That'd be even funny. Yeah, that'd be even funnier.
yeah. But it's kind of talked about because Fox has the X-Men, the mutant right. That Inhumans could be, that next thing for Marvel because they can't use mutants. Maybe
Have Terrigen.
exactly.
Well, yeah, that may change, though.
I don't know.
I heard a
But-
rumor that the rights are shifting.
Again, also, sorry, John, I didn't mean to step on the right.
No, go ahead. There wasn't much to it. It was
But
just a
again-
rumor.
I've heard that rumor too, but I haven't seen anything solid.
Yeah.
Do we think that anything to do with the comics is being influenced by the movies here? That because we have seen them bringing Inhumans up to an equal level with mutants in the Marvel Universe in terms of propagation, in terms of being out there, the Terrigen myths being released on the world.
That's kind of what I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
Looking back, that this was kind of
This is a plan.
to bring
Yeah.
them to the forefront to say because Inhumans are kind of those characters in Marvel that most people don't really know about because they're just in and out. But here recent years, because of all that stuff, they've been pushing them towards the forefront. Go ahead, Mike.
What's really funny is that it's the Inhumans, and it's when they first interact with the Guardians in the books that you get the whole I am Groot thing, where Maximus, who's the mad Inhuman, Black Bolt's brother who's always trying to steal the throne, Maximus is working with Groot on a weapon to try to protect themselves from the battle that's going on with the Shi'ar, and Maximus can understand everything Groot is saying, even though the whole time he's going, I am Groot. And Maximus is like, oh, that's brilliant. Yes, we do need to take this part and put it over here. And it's like, I am Groot. Oh, yes, you're right. That's, it's like, and that's the first time in the comics that you get the idea that when he's just saying I am Groot, that he's actually saying all these other things.
Yeah.
And then it's after that Rocket starts to understand him,
Right.
which is kind of fun, So the Inhumans actually play an interesting role in the Guardians, in the series because it kind of helped develop that side of Groot because he's talking to Maximus.
I mean, he is highly intelligent.
Yeah.
The hat tips to the Celestials in the movie too is just awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we already have
that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That's why I had to go see it in 3D. I saw it for the first time in 2D, and I'm like,
head.
I really want to see Nowhere in 3D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was pretty awesome in 3D, yeah.
It was.
But, we already have those Kree connections, too. We got Ronan, you got the Kree mentioned on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and, all this stuff, and, the Inhumans have that Kree history. So, yeah, it's plausible.
I love
it. Hey, that blue guy doesn't necessarily have to be Kree. He could be an Inhuman.
I think he's Kree, though.
I think he's Kree, but that was my assumption. But then I was thinking, well, he could be Inhuman. He could also be Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah.
We could have already seen Star-Lord's dad, although they I don't know that they'd tie him into the TV show that much.
No, I don't think so, just because, they wouldn't have him dead.
Yeah.
At this point.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. That's true.
That's true. But, there's just so much they can do here. I mean, Thor is a cosmic character, technically, even though he's mostly Earth-based. And, there's already that connection with the Collector between, the movies and everything. They could do so much with these if they, It's just, as a predominantly Marvel fan, most of my comic reading life, it's just exciting for me to see all this come together like this.
Well, it's so neat to see the Infinity Gems kind of turn out to be the things that are, like, driving each of these elements. The Tesseract, the sorry, Chuck, but the Dark World stuff, the red thing. But all these turn out to be, like, at their core Infinity Stones.
Right.
And you don't really get that until this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of got it a little earlier.
Well, no, I meant explain to, like,
explain to people.
public.
Yeah.
Because, just because it's like with those people that were bitching it's too much about the Infinity Stones, my thought was that's the follow-through. It's all about the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From the first mention of the Tesseract, and then, with the Dark World Mist, and now the Power Stone. Which it is because, and the reason it's purple is because the red thing Thor already took red. Yeah. I mean, that's what James Gunn said. So, the colors are a little different than the Infinity Stones that we're used to. But, to me, that's the follow-through, and it's going to be the follow-through until we get all 5 stones together on the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Somebody was making an interesting point about the Nova Corps, or the Xandarians having the power gem now, is that they could use that to actually power the Nova Corps.
They could, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that as
they weren't running around the helmets.
Yeah. No, well, they were. Those
a little bit,
were there.
The
they were all along the rows. Yeah. I was watching for them a little more when I went the second time, and I'm like, oh, they are kind of all around.
Right.
But they don't have the big red star in the middle, though.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very downplayed.
Yeah.
But still, awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just so excited by this stuff.
I know.
I geek out.
No, I mean, going back to actors, God, Glenn Close, whoever thought?
I know.
And John C. Reilly, whoever thought? I mean,
Yeah, that's his presence in the movie when they first started promoting it was one of the things that worried me about it being too far humor. And, he was very, very even. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, that, to me, he's Mr. Cellophane. I see him in Chicago. And it's like, that guy is this guy?
Yeah.
and then you get that nod that his family is the family that Rocket saved on the bridge.
Yeah.
The wife and the little girl, or the woman and the little girl that Rocket saved when he kind of swooped in at the last second and pow-pow-powed, the Ronan's forces. Mm-hmm. And then you see at the end that was his wife and kid. I'm like, whoa! And I didn't get that till the second viewing.
I didn't pick up on that.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I would have to fanboy argue out with just about anybody that says that the Infinity Stones are not a core driving force of Marvel storytelling through the years. My God, they've been there. And especially if you're just hanging your hat on modern Marvel, even up to the supposed breaking of them of recent years. They drove everything around the edges. It's just this is a natural progression of where
they
Marvel
are the most powerful. They are the most powerful elements in the Marvel universe.
Yep.
Yeah, unless you're going to whip out the ultimate nullifier.
Well, yeah.
Let's hope
that humans can get their hands on.
Yeah. But yeah, this is awesome. And one of those credit scenes, the dancing group baby.
Oh God, I love that.
That has been released online now, so everybody
Nice.
can go watch it.
I posted the GIF of it on Twitter today because I couldn't stop watching it.
It's hilarious.
If somebody doesn't make that a thing, they are idiots.
They're already working on it, Marvel says.
Yeah,
Marvel's merchandising department says they're trying to make one for Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean they
Oh,
got one in some box set that's like $400.
Yeah.
No, they want to make one that actually dances to music.
Oh, that dances around, yeah.
That would be perfect.
It shouldn't be that hard. They have those dancing solar flower things.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Pop a fruit in there.
No.
Now, I saw that headline before I clicked on the link. The most delightful scene from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
And
so
I gotta
good.
admit, I'll give it to that scene, but that one scene where he's just releasing all the spores of light
Yeah.
into the air.
I would agree.
That's
That was
what I
beautiful.
thought was going to be the scene I was about to see.
Yeah.
No, that was beautiful, but I mean that other one was so fun. The dancing
Yeah.
root one was just
It was
so
funny 'cause
funny. And he
would-
stops when Drax turns
Exactly,
around
yeah.
and keeps going. I mean,
Where did you learn how to do that? I bet you his answer is going to be some form of I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Although another thing too is the adults were having a conversation. It's like, well, he did come up with one new word, and the youngest of our family, no, he
Two.
came up with 2 new words.
Yeah,
and we're like, oh, you're right.
Yes, we are Groot.
Like, I love that the little ones are doing the Geek Smackdown. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the sequel. That's all there is.
Oh,
to
yeah.
say that.
Can't wait for this to come out on DVD and
Yeah,
Blu-ray
that's
so I
it.
can grab it and watch it endlessly.
And missing
Yeah,
scenes and
exactly. In
Oh.
history, I mean,
Yeah.
if Marvel's smart, they will just pile
Yeah.
every little bit of Guardians history onto this
Mm.
I don't think
and
there's
onto
an if
the
there.
DVD.
Marvel is smart.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, I don't really buy DVDs anymore or Blu-rays, because they're so ubiquitous everywhere that you can see them practically anytime you want, legally or otherwise. But I think when this comes out, I'm definitely buying one. Just for, not only to, watch it endlessly, but just for all the extras that I hope are there.
Yeah. But, July 28th, 2017, sequel coming for everybody.
It's too far away.
I know. Next Marvel movie we have.
Right after Derby. No, that's way
Yeah.
after. It's a month. I'm sorry, it's a month later. Okay, never mind.
What was I saying? The next Marvel movie, Marvel Avengers: Age of Ultron. So it's gonna be another iconic character hitting the big screen.
Yeah.
James Spader
Yeah,
is Ultron.
Yeah.
and we're getting the
Who
Vision
would've
too.
thought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Double.
is,
I don't know. I think that's because I think they're influenced by seeing Spader in all those John Hughes movies.
Maybe.
Who else would you
Definitely
want for
not
Ultron?
Boston Legal Vader.
No.
Well, Paul Bentley or Benty or
Bettany. Yeah.
Bettany, however you say his last name. Yeah, I mean he's going to be the Vision. As he was always just the voice or the disembodied
Jarvis,
voice
yeah.
of Jarvis before. But yeah, and if people don't know who he is, go and watch. Oh crap! It just jumped out of my head.
The Da Vinci.
A Knight's Tale. There you go.
Knight's Tale, Da Vinci Code. Yeah.
Yeah, no, A Knight's Tale, which is a funnier movie. Da Vinci
I
Code
agree.
will just depress you.
Agreed.
And
But,
you guys watching Blacklist?
No, I
No,
haven't. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh man, Ultron lives. Man,
Yeah.
James Spader in that is freaking awesome.
Is he? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him since Boston Legal, and I didn't even watch that religiously, so.
Yeah. No, he's amazing. He is. It is. Yeah.
I just think of him as
Hannibal
what,
Lecter
Blaine?
reincarnated. Yeah.
Blaine.
Blaine, yeah.
he plays a Hannibal Lecter kind of character in the Blacklist, and he is just amazing. Imagine James Bond mixed with Hannibal Lecter, and then you got the Blacklist.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that show. But,
Yeah, I mean, as far as Boston Legal, the only thing that went through my mind is, whoa, you got old and fat, dude.
Oh no, he's back in this one.
Nice.
He's good. He's good.
Awesome. Well, yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Oh no, I was just saying favorite redemptive villain. There we go.
Gotcha.
I love my
there you
redemptive
go.
villains. I could have skipped that line. Sorry.
That's fine.
No,
So, anything more to say about Guardians or Marvel movies in general?
Oh God! If you haven't seen Guardians yet, go see it now. Go see it in a theater. Do not wait for a small screen.
Yeah,
This is one of
Yeah.
those you have to experience big.
See
exactly.
it big. See it in 3D. It's worth 3D. And I just saw it for the first 3D movie I've ever seen. So
Yeah.
I'm saying that way.
And first IMAX movie I've ever seen, and it's totally worth it. Yeah, go ahead.
I also have another thought about what I was saying earlier about Marvel doing genre movies that superheroes are in as opposed to doing superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why they're gearing up for a Doctor Strange movie. They're going to do
Yeah.
a horror movie that has superheroes in it.
Yeah, this
sort
just
of.
happens to have someone throwing around magic in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
please.
the impression I get too. Yeah.
and
Yes,
I
please.
think yes, please, exactly, yes, please, and I really hope they do it subtle.
Mhm.
You know, and by that I mean, you know, no. Even though I want to see the Cape of Levitation, you know, and the Eye of Agamotto
Okay.
and all that. Whatever. Don't correct me.
No, I said it exactly like you said it.
I know. I'm messing with you because you derailed my thought.
Sorry.
But no, I hope they do it subtle. I hope it's not big, flashy. I mean, I want to see that, but I also want, if they're going to do it as a horror movie that just happens to have this magician in it, I want them to be a little more subtle about it.
Okay.
Not-
no
not-
Shuma McGarveth.
Yeah, well, you know, I
After-
don't.
Somebody
Okay.
talk.
Well, no, I thought I just stopped when he started. I mean, you know, after seeing how well they did it with this and how they could have gone, you know, like the strips of cloth for Gamora,
Yeah.
you know, gone that route with the costume and all this other stuff that they didn't do.
Mhm.
I'm hoping they keep it subtle, to keep it kind of in the horror genre, even though I do want to see like the cloak and full cloakiness. And, you know,
think
and I don't even mind.
Some of the
Go ahead, Mike.
supernatural horror stuff that's out there, though. I mean, you know, like some of the Hellraiser things where they're going
Yeah.
through other dimensions, and some of the Clive Barker stuff. I think you know, following that kind of a lead could be a fun way to go with
Yeah.
you know, Doctor Strange slipping in and out of these other dimensions.
Right. Or it could be when he goes in the other dimension, it's more flamboyant than when he's in the Earth dimension. You know, and I don't mind him going like the suffering rings of cry,
Scott,
whatever.
you
It is.
know that.
Yeah,
The
you know, I
Crimson
don't mind,
Bands of Cytoric.
thank you.
Yes.
I don't mind him saying that sort of stuff. You know, I just don't want him walking around looking like Captain America in a cape.
Yeah. Agreed.
He doesn't need a spangly outfit, you know, to use an RDJ line there.
I think after we've seen Nowhere, I have that right. The celestial head thing was
Yes.
Nowhere.
Yeah, it's Nowhere, yes.
After we've seen what they can do with that, I tell you, I want to get the cold chill moment when Doctor Strange goes to Dormammu's dimension for the first time with that Stranko,
yeah.
that Stranko special effects with the mindless ones wandering around, and I want to see that so bad.
I want it to be like full-on Steranko kind of,
Yes.
just on the edge of making you sick when you look at it.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, that kind of rolling, flowing, weird things coming up sort of thing. Yeah, I would love that.
But
Yeah.
not Dr. Zeus looking,
No, not Dr. Seuss looking.
because they could
Like-
go too far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could. Yeah.
No, yeah, well, honestly, the way Nowhere looked in space,
Yeah.
Yeah, do
you know,
in
just
magic,
that
yeah.
first shot of the head sitting out there in
Uh-huh.
space. If Dormu's dimension looked like that, and you know, if they managed to give
With
Dormu,
staircases everywhere.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And make it look like an MC Escher thing, not a Dr. Seuss thing. And also, you know,
no curves. Yeah.
exactly. And if they give, if they manage to give Dormu a flaming head without it looking like Ghost Rider,
Yeah.
that's going to be a plus too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Can't look like Ghost Rider.
No, I mean,
And you know, Marvel has Ghost Rider rights back now.
Yay.
good.
they
Maybe they'll fix it.
Yeah, they have everything back except for what Fox and Sony have.
Yeah.
Just those 3 properties, which incidentally are the three of the biggest properties in Marvel. But
yeah, no
whatever.
doubt.
Well, Fox is now talking about doing a Spider-Woman movie.
Oh, Sony, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was doing the same thing.
It's
I got
so confusing.
I got corrected many times.
It's
But, okay, yeah. I mean, when Sony's talking about their Spider pictures, at first they hadn't mentioned anything about it, but now they're like, yeah, we're thinking we might have one with Spider-Woman and the Black Cat.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week.
Yeah, we talked about Black Cat.
Why Black Cat of all things?
Yeah. Spider-Woman I could get behind. I would not mind.
I could get behind her. Yeah, absolutely.
I would.
I knew somebody was going to say that.
You thought it'd be me, though, right?
Oh, yeah. I walked right into that one. But,
You got a whip.
I'm usually the nice guy. I'm just breaking character.
Yeah.
you're on zone 4.
It's like a virus.
If you want to get behind, you got to web it up, baby.
Oh, okay. Anyway. Oh, shoot.
No glove, no love.
But what's this X-Men rumor, real quick before we leave? Because, they do have the Apocalypse movie coming up, so I would assume they have it for a while. So.
Honestly, I had heard or I had seen on some website, one of the news websites, because they had the Marvel image and the Fox image, and then they had Quicksilver superimposed over the two.
Yeah.
And they were saying something towards the effect of a deal is on the horizon where
maybe collaborative use of characters.
Maybe, yeah, or that they'll, with all the success Marvel's having, that they'll let them, that the rights could flow back, or that they were being bought back, or whatever. It was kind of sketchy on details. But that at least the X-Men part of the universe could, in some part or fully, revert back to Marvel.
I think Fox also has Fantastic Four. If this movie coming up that everybody's really worried about tanks, I think that'll be the last one.
How could it not? Honestly,
sounds so horrible.
It does.
It does. The more I had faith because I like the director and some of the actors involved.
Yeah, but
the more I keep hearing about it, I'm kind of worried myself now. So.
I'm sorry. When Michael B. Jordan said that they are treating the powers as disabilities, that they are having to overcome and learn to live with. I mean, first, as a person with disabilities, I was offended. And then second, how is being able to turn invisible or, being able to stretch or catch fire and fly a disability? The only one that I can think of that I would say disability would be Thing.
Yeah. Which I could see that with him.
Which I could see that because that's having to relearn everything.
Yeah. But, I don't know. Zone 4 always posts on Comic Frontline as a YouTube video as well, and we get a lot of comments over there. And when we talked about that the last time, we actually did get some comments, kind of advocating the disability angle a little bit. So, and that was also a person that has disabilities, championing it, kind of saying, they could see that. But I don't know. I think it turns it too much into like the mutant thing with the X-Men. Yeah, that's kind of their shtick, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an odd way to go with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, because the FF can turn their except for the Thing, obviously, can turn their powers off.
Yeah.
Mutants generally can't, or at least some mutants generally can't.
I don't know. I just always viewed the Fantastic Four as characters that their powers came unexpected and they had to adapt to them, but it was like they used that and embraced it and
as a plus,
yeah, exactly, and became this family dynamic, and it sounds like they're going a different route with it, which concerns me a little bit.
And there, honestly, I can think there are very few. My problem with it, at least in my thinking, I cannot speak universally, and I won't speak universally, but I will say that in my thinking, there are very few disabled people who are seeing that as a gift. Who are seeing that as something positive. This is a negative that I need to learn to live with, that I need to learn to overcome, that I need to learn to adjust into my life and move on with. You know, and I mean, some people take it exceptionally well, Special Olympics athletes being one of those.
Yeah.
You know, do it especially well and exceptionally well, and some don't. But yeah, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, yeah, there's a learning curve. You know, if you can suddenly stretch, you need to learn how to keep yourself together, I suppose. You know, if they have Mr. Fantastic just suddenly fall into a puddle, and then he has to become cohesive again, you know, I could maybe see that.
But they kind of already played with that with the previous incarnation.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me is it sounds like they're taking the opposite approach of like Guardians. With Guardians, yeah, the plots were different, the places weren't quite the same, but the characters and their spirit were the same as they are in the books.
Yeah.
Right.
And with the Fantastic Four, it sounds like they're using the same plots and the same places, but the spirit of the characters is going to be entirely different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I just don't know that that's the way to go.
I agree.
At least on the surface, it sounds like they are going to go to the complete 180 of Guardians. They're going to go dark.
Yeah.
They're going to be dark and broody and
Which
angsty.
Does
and
not fit the Fantastic Four.
No, definitely not. I mean, you know, even the Thing, you know, eventually becomes ever-loving, blue-eyed, you know, idol of millions.
Right.
Whatever, you know, I mean, even the Thing with all those difficulties still keeps that essence of, you know, I'm just a mook from Brooklyn that, you know, that this happened to, and he still has humor and pathos and all those other things about it.
Yeah. I don't know. With that movie, I keep saying this, you know, I'm going to try to reserve judgment until I see a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good way to go. That's a good thing.
Yeah, true.
It's best to have some, I don't know, restraint, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know,
Which I have none, but
yeah. But I mean, I've been trashing the Batman Superman movie ever since we started hearing details about it. And you know, as footage starts slowly being released, it's like, well, that looks pretty cool, that sounds pretty cool, and you know, it's kind of changed my mind. So I'm trying to take more of a objective stance, I guess, until I.
Momoa as Aquaman?
Yeah, I know, right?
Only if they dye his hair blonde.
I don't know. I think it's a smart way to go, though.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
The Jeff Johns Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Johns Aquaman, and using
90s Aquaman with the big hook on him.
Yeah, indeed.
But using an actor that everybody kind of already adores and that kind of thing, and he has his presence on screen
and who's known for being a macho badass.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, being a huge guy with a lot of power.
Exactly.
It rehabs Aquaman instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're done talking about Fantastic Four. I can join the conversation again.
Yeah, talk about Aquaman now.
Fantastic Four films are dead to me.
I like those two, by the way. But
What?
I like the previous two.
No,
Yeah.
I have a real problem with Galactus' cloud.
Well,
that sucked.
That aside.
But Silver Surfer looked cool.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Well, you know, they can't use Galactus because that's Star-Lord's dad.
Oh, well, there you go.
Sorry.
There's a good theory. I like that.
Which honestly puts
you
a
see
visual in my head that I don't need.
But can you see him? I'm sorry, Star-Lord, but your dad eats planets. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah.
Or his dad is Silver Surfer. Oh.
Peter Rad.
That would be rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go there. Sorry.
That's good. That's good.
Peter Rad. Yeah, I mean, he'd love it. My last name is Rad, dude.
Well, I think what's kind of funny is they actually nodded at his name when I interviewed Steve Englehart about Star-Lord, and he said when he was coming up with the character, he called him Peter Quill because those were both synonyms for dick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know,
That's
he sends a dick message to
dick
Roman
joke.
Day, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like right in there. There's a nod to Englehart.
Yeah. They got my dick message.
And on that note, I think that's a good place to wrap.
Hey, it was in the movie.
It was, but that's
we're getting cocky here. We got to sign off.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, where's the rim shot there? No.
Didn't end soon enough.
Fool me.
Behind Spider-Man. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
So before we get out of here, we'll do what we usually do and go around the table and see what everybody has coming up, coming out, and going on. Chuck, we'll start with you.
Oh no.
Okay, Brandon, just turn off his mic.
Okay. Let's see. November 22nd, 2013. No, 14. That's what this year is. 14.
2013.
What year is it?
We're time traveling.
We're going back in time.
Still laughing. No, November 22nd this year, Cavalcade Comics taking place in Louisville, a vendor-focused comic convention. Check out Derby City Comic Con for all the details. Also coming up February 28th in Cincinnati, Sharonville Convention Center, Queen City Comic Con. And we just announced today, June 20th and 21st, 2015, Derby City Comic Con in a space that is 1/3 bigger than we've ever had a show before. So we're taking a 45,000 square foot show and growing it to a 68,000 square foot show next year. So massive jump in size.
That's awesome.
Yep. I can be heard weekly podcasting on the Charlie Tonic Hour. You can find it over at charlietonic.com. And that's really about all I got to pimp right now, aside from comicrelated.com.
Cool. All right, Mike.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I think I have too.
Comicrelated.com rocks.
Yeah.
Me? Oh. Well, it is the Summer of the Assassin on the Glow in the Dark radio podcast. I'm doing an encore presentation of Vatican Assassin, but I'm actually re-editing my old chapters, because when I first recorded these, I was kind of in a radio mentality, and I think edited them a little too severe. So I took out a lot of breaths and pauses that need to actually go back in. So I'm actually adding back in air space, if you will, to these reads. Nice. And it's a long process, but it's a labor of love, and at the end I plan on putting the whole book up on Audible so that people can get the audiobook when they get it at Amazon as well. So there's a method to my madness, but right now what I'm doing is rehabbing these chapters one at a time, and they're going on the weekly podcast. So that's why if you go to Comic Related and you check out Glow in the Dark Radio, the podcast, you're hearing these new re-edited, remastered chapters of Vatican Assassin all summer long.
Nice.
And that's what I've been up to, because I'm also writing a new Alibi Jones novel, but that's like in the nitty-gritty writing, pounding on the keyboard phase, so there's nothing much to show for it at this point. But it is the Summer of the Assassin on the podcast, so check it out either at comicrelated.com or at glowinthedarkradio.com.
Awesome. Very cool. And John?
Wait, I'm confused. You're doing something for Glow in the Dark Radio about a comic book that you edited like it was radio. But now you're going to do it like a comic book and put it on audiobook, so it's like radio again?
No, so it's like a novel that's on the radio, but it's not like the radio because I'm re-editing it so it'll be more like an audiobook.
Okay.
That's awesome. I laughed while you were doing that, not because of what you were saying, but because with the Charlie Tonic Hour, I did that heavy editing you're talking about for like the first 50, 60 episodes, took all the ums and all the spaces out, and then we did a few that were just like loose, and they were perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been editing it for years.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
You should.
could have left it alone this whole time.
Yep.
We never edit Zone 4. No.
Find that amusing.
That's why I love it.
Off the cuff.
That's why I cuss with impunity now.
All right, John.
All right, well, I am on page, actually, what page am I on? I'm on page 9 of the 12-page comic I'm doing for Steampunk Originals number 7.
Nice.
It's called Bound for Pangea. Brant has thankfully agreed to letter the bloody thing for me, so I don't have to learn lettering in 5 minutes or less, which would be sad and pathetic.
I have to mention...
Lettering is an art, I'll have you know.
Yes, it is, and I can't do it.
It was funny. John was like, "Can you help me
How do
learn
you
how to
letter?"
letter?" And I was like, "I can letter it." He's like, "Well, okay."
That was
I
the
can
message.
letter
How
it.
do you letter?
I can
I
letter
do
it
not have
in
time
less
to teach
time
you
that
to
it's...
fish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and he's gonna, hate me because as I look at the artwork, I don't leave a lot of room for speech bubbles. So he's gonna have to put it over top of things. But anyway, so that's that, and I'm trying to finish that up slowly but obscurely. And then I I am still the illustrator of a children's book being done by one of my old teacher friends about the activity of the flowers and the insects and trees and small animals in her backyard. She is a teacher still, or actually she's a principal. So her time is a little busy right now with the beginning of school, so that is on hold for the moment, but we're hoping to get that going pretty quick. And I am co-writing a gothic romance story with a friend of ours named Dave Arhar.
Yay!
Yay! And
Love Dave.
yeah, because he's getting back to comics in a major way. I colored a few pages of his strip Jor Elvis recently, and hopefully those will pop up soon. And this is a gothic romance about Romeo and Juliet in fast food. Or no, frozen food. Frozen food, okay. In frozen food. And that's about all I can say about it now, because that's kind of the tagline he gave me today. So, it's Romeo and Juliet in frozen food. It's going to be a gothic romance with a little ghostliness going on in there. And let's see, in addition to that, I'll probably be pretty much running around all three of those places that Chuck mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. As far as conventions, yes, I will.
Yes, you will.
It kind of goes without saying that anything Chuck is doing, I'm kind of there in some capacity or another.
Yes,
so.
You are.
Yes, I am. So there is that. So there is that. So, Heroes Con, you won't be seeing me for a while.
Yeah, I hated that, but we had no choice.
Yeah, there is a conflict, but there's no choice. And then, of course, that crazy little thing called Comic Related. You can find my name on there a few times every day, doing one thing or another. In fact, for that, I am nearly done, and it's only because of these other art things that it's taken me so long. I am nearly done reviewing the art book by Brian Michael Bendis called Words for Pictures. Cool. And I just received in the mail this morning Foundations of Comic Book Art. And I forget who the author is on that, but I just received that in the mail today, so I'll, get on that when time allows, for people who enjoy that sort of thing. And, of course, I also do the, except on those days where I miss it and Brant covers me, I pretty much solely do the sketch video posts on Comic Related with how-to videos and different other things like that. So please go check that out as well, and that's about it for me.
Oh, one thing I forgot. CR has joined Instagram this week.
Oh yeah,
true. And is I am personally doing most of the photos that are going on there right now until other people want to do some. But I happen to be going through and sorting a 140 long box comic collection for sale. And as I go through, I'm snapping. I started and did the first one today, but I'm going to take a lot of random images of classic comic covers and throw that in our Instagram as just feeder to get people excited and maybe take you back to a different era of comics. So one thing I'm going to be doing as we build up to convention coverage, where we'll be doing a lot of that through Instagram as well. Yeah. So yeah.
You have thrown up some interesting stuff, I've noticed, in the last few days.
Well, my private Instagram account's nuts because I use that to edit all kinds of photos. You never know what you're going to see there.
Yeah.
But, the one that's under Charlie Rambles, but the CR one that's under Comic Related only has 2 photos, I think, so far, but it's just getting started.
Two photos.
Yeah, but they're weird photos.
Yeah, two photos and 229 followers already.
I know. Thank you. I know how to make a splash.
But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was going to bring it up if you didn't. So. For me, not a whole lot to talk about right now. Superhuman Resources, I'm back working on that again. It took a bit of a hiatus before I got some new pages to work on, but now I've got 2 full issues to work on. It is going to be published by Action Lab Entertainment when it's all done. Mm-hmm. I think it's going in trade format, so it's going to be 6 full issues. So, and I'm working on Ron Fortier's Black Bat's Domino Lady series for Moonstone.
Stay there.
Yeah. And New Comic Day is working on a Kickstarter for a collection of the first 5 years, 5 volumes of New Comic Day with extras and all this stuff. More details on that as they become available. We're still working out everything. The site is currently down because of a stupid upgrade that forced everything to kind of explode on the site, and I'm trying to work through that. And we're taking the opportunity though to update the site for the first time in 5 years. The look and the feel and everything. So it's taking a little bit longer than expected, but the end result should be something to behold, I guess. So we'll see how it all works out. Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely want you to go kick our friend Eric when the Kickstarter starts.
Yeah. And Wannabes, I'm still trying to get that back on track. I talked to the artist very briefly this week, the new artist on the book. He's excited for the next step. I'm excited. Talking to Lisa about it. She's still going to be coloring it. So we're all really excited about the next phase of Wannabes. So be on the lookout for that upcoming as well. And that's pretty much, yeah.
I thought of another thing, speaking of comic related, if people want the background of Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord, any of these characters, I've got my Cosmic Crackle columns there. So just click on columns and click through on Cosmic Crackle, and you can read not only my summaries of all these classic cosmic comics, but also I got to talk to Chris Claremont about him writing Star-Lord, and I talked to Steve Englehart about his creation of Star-Lord, and more recently got the chance to chat via email with Dan Abnett about the current Guardians of the Galaxy. So I've been really lucky, and you get the benefit of that too if you want to get more details on these guys at Comic Related.
Yeah, very, very good articles there, very thorough, and just some really great stuff. So please check that out.
My friend speaks my mind there. That absolutely is true. Those are so good.
They are.
Yeah.
I've been really lucky. People have been willing to answer my questions, which has been fun.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't even going to pat you on the back. I was going to say, when's the next one?
Yeah.
I want more, so
I've got something in the works. It's actually something I have been working on in the past and put to the side about one of my favorite characters I was mentioning a little bit earlier.
Cool. Awesome.
Can't
wait for that. And I knew that was on the horizon, but
would that involve a cocoon cracking?
Quite possibly, yes.
Yay!
And speaking of comic related, solicitations will be next week, I'm assuming, because they weren't this week. So be on the lookout for that. I still feel like we do them better than everybody else, but that's a bias, I'm sure. But yes,
blood, sweat, and a lot of Brant's tears.
Yeah, I was about to say you do them better than everyone else.
Yeah, none of us can take credit for that.
Yeah.
Presentation wise,
Good job, man.
Thank you. Yes. Not to toot my own horn, but no, it's
I leave that to Spider-Woman.
I think that's a good place to close.
Speaking of Nuka Chaka.
Oh shoot! So, Mike, anytime you're on, I take advantage of your radio talents to read us out.
All right. We'd like to thank the official bands of Zone 4, the Ray Wall Band and Society's Plague, that you hear on the show each and every week. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for us, send those to zone4@comicrelated.com. We are also a proud member of the Comic Related Podcast Network. And as always, thanks for listening. You are now leaving Zone 4.
Bye, everybody.
Yay.
Bye.
Cheers.
Ooga chaka,
Ooga chaka,
Ooga chaka.
Go Groot.
It was almost in a round.
It's a fantastic can't stretch all day. And Visco fades away. The Human Torch burns the sky. Thinks this is clobbering time. This has been a Gonzo Goose production. Bonk!